When you start aligning a language model, you quietly make two copies of it. One of them you train, pushing it toward human preferences. The other you freeze solid and never touch again. That frozen twin is the reference model, and it might be the most underrated piece of the whole alignment stack. It is the fixed anchor that lets a model change its behavior toward what people want without forgetting everything it already knew. Get it wrong, and alignment turns destructive. Get it right, and the model shifts gracefully. Let's dig in. So how does this frozen twin actually get used? Follow its role one step at a time. Start at the very beginning of alignment. You take your instruction tune model and clone it into two. One copy becomes the policy you will train and update. The other is frozen and set aside as the reference, never changing for the rest of training. In practice, that reference is usually the supervised, fine-tuned model you just finished. Now train the policy. Over many steps, it shifts toward human preferences, raising the odds of responses people prefer and lowering the ones they reject. It is the only copy that ever changes, and it slowly drifts away from where it began. At every step, compare the two. We look at how the training policy's outputs differ from the frozen reference, using that fixed twin as a stable point of comparison that never moves under us. It is the yardstick the whole process is measured against. Without that fixed twin, there would be nothing stable to compare the drifting policy to. Finally, use that gap to anchor. In RLHF, a KL penalty punishes large drift from the reference. In DPO, the loss is written relative to it, pushing chosen over rejected more than the reference already does. Either way, the frozen twin keeps the model tethered. So why bother holding a second model in memory? Here is the difference, side by side. Tune a model with no anchor at all, and optimization can drag it anywhere. Chasing reward or preferences unchecked, it can forget the fluent, knowledgeable behavior it started with and collapse into degenerate, repetitive outputs. There's nothing pulling it back towards sense, and the capable base you began with quietly erodes. Keep a frozen reference beside it, and everything changes. Every update is measured against that fixed starting point, so the model can move toward human preferences while staying tethered to the trusted base it began from. Alignment becomes a controlled step away from a known good model, not a free fall into whatever the optimizer stumbles onto. That tether is precisely what keeps alignment from being destructive. Strip it down, and three ideas make the reference model matter. It is a frozen copy of the starting model. Normally the instruction tune checkpoint, held fixed throughout training as an unchanging point of comparison for the policy that is being updated. It anchors both RLHF and DPO. In RLHF, the KL penalty measures drift from it. In DPO, the loss pushes the policy to prefer chosen over rejected more than the reference already does, enforcing the same tether without an explicit penalty term, and some methods even update the reference over iterative rounds. It keeps alignment from destroying base capability. By tethering the tune model to a trusted starting point, it prevents catastrophic forgetting and collapse into degenerate outputs, at the real cost of holding a second frozen model in memory during training, and its choice genuinely matters for the outcome. All right, let's lock in what matters. A reference model is a frozen copy of the starting model that alignment methods measure the tune model against. You begin alignment by cloning your model into a trainable policy and a frozen reference, and only the policy ever updates from there. In RLHF, its KL penalty anchors the model against drift. In DPO, the loss is written relative to it, enforcing the very same tether. The takeaway is that alignment is not learning from scratch, but a controlled move away from a trusted starting point. If you enjoy AI explained as clearly, there's plenty more waiting at standardy.com. See you inside.